One.
I think we're going live. You're going to be in.
This is a very unusual experience. I can see myself. Hello, it's James Bobin here. I am the director of the new Alice Through the Looking Glass film. I'm here with a good friend of mine who needs literally no introduction. I'm going to actually just not even say his name. I'm just going to pass the phone over here, and you will see it is my good friend, Mr. Johnny Depp. There you go.
How do you do? Is that my name?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, cool.
Here you go. Pass over here so we can do this. That's Greg. Oh, Greg's just flipped it. That's not Greg. That'd be weird. Greg might be filming himself for a while.
Yeah, shamelessly. Well,
anyway, so Johnny and I are here today to talk about the movie. We've had some questions been submitted by Facebookers, people off the Facebook, and they're on this magic hat here, which is straight from the wardrobe department, I believe. Not at all a simulacrum. It's actually really a prop from the film.
Do you recognise that song?
You recognise it? Yeah. And I'm going to ask some questions of Mr. Depp here. So, without any further ado, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you prepared yourself for this.
All night.
This is the first question. Is from Camille Gregory.
Camille Gregory.
Yeah. Hello, Camille. This question is to Johnny. What was it like to reunite with the cast from the first Alice film?
It was magnificent. It was like when you do a sequel to a film, and you revisit the character, which is always nice. You know, if it's a character that has some fun. Great, bringing that character back along with all the sort of wild characters in there, and certainly Mia, working with Mia again. Who's a beating heart. Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, you have a lovely chemistry with her. I think I love those scenes with you and her together.
It works very well. It's rare because the one thing, having studied silent film like a maniac, back then, those people didn't have the luxury of dialogue.
Right.
So everything had to be
just here, just this.
It had to be behind the eyes. If it wasn't behind the eyes, still to this day, there's a lot of people you just don't see it behind the eyes. With Mia, it's there, and it rotates, it changes, and no, she's a very special girl.
No, she's fantastic. Good. All right, let's know the next one. Here we go.
Johnny, why don't you retire?
Matthew Cruz. Johnny, have you ever gotten stuck in character? That's a good question.
It is. That's a great question. There are certain actors who in my opinion, look, everybody has a process and they do what they got to do. But there are some actors who feel the need to stay in character and speak like the character at all times. With some of the characters that I've played, I think if I had spoken like Willy Wonka, if I'd stayed and spoken like Willy Wonka constantly, somebody would have beaten me, clubbed me like a harp seal. Same with Hatter. I just, it's one of those things that I just don't believe, there's a guy who's playing Henry VIII, and when he walks up to the craft service table, he's going to have to deal with, Doritos. There's not a giant turkey leg waiting there for him. So I don't work in that way. I once you know the character, once you have a good solid foundation for the character, at a certain point you know the character far better than anyone, than the writers, So what was the question?
She was in character. You got stuck in character.
Do I get to?
No.
I did. You know what? I haven't been stuck in character. I went out I was doing Ed Wood.
I was going to say.
And I was having dinner with Jim Jarmusch was out,
Yeah.
And we've been friends for a long time. We did Dead Man together. He comes out and he took me out to dinner after work. And apparently, I was sitting there looking at the menu like this, with this great smile on my face. And when the waitress came over to take our order, it was like, I'll have the chicken pot pie. Yes, that's perfect. And then finally she split, and Jim said to me, because he calls me Pancho,
Sure.
he said, Pancho, man, you got to do me a favor. gotta get rid of that 6 Mile man. It's creeping me out. You gotta stop talking like this guy, man. It's really freaking me out.
Unfortunately, I would like that. I would like to hang out with Linwood. That guy, I love that guy. He's very optimistic.
Very optimistic.
He's very optimistic. He sees the good of everything. I think.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
He had that sort of
Very positive.
that Reagan kind of blind optimism.
Yeah, it's like 1950s futurism. It's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. Everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I'd love to hang out with him. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, one more from Justice Calum.
Justice Calum.
Justice Calum. He's on the sort of fourth circuit judge. I don't know.
Fantastic name.
Thank you for your question, Justice. Your question is, what's your favourite moment that happened on set? That's a difficult question. That's what's hard.
On set of Alice.
I guess it's probably on this film. Yes.
I would say, I mean, there were a lot of opportunities, more opportunities in this film through the Looking Glass, which were more. Let's see, there was a lot more traveling to do with regard to showing different sides
Right.
of the Hatter. From great extremes, and James was so helpful keeping that map of where the Hatter is,
Right,
and
journey,
where he's
sure.
just been and where he's off to. So those things become very important sort of signs of where, what's going on. So in this film, yeah, it's more demanding. It's
For sure. But there were some good bits. I remember we were on set and you were doing a scene with Sasha.
Yeah.
And obviously Sasha and you like to talk, and you're good friends, and so you like to kind of play a bit. And so we did a scene whereby Time finds Hatter at the tea party, and Hatter tricks Time into staying for longer than he should, to try and delay him from capturing Alice. And there was the thing where obviously I like to encourage improvisation because I find it amusing, and it often ends up in the movie. And Johnny and Sasha, when you give them that kind of direction, tend to run with it, shall we say. So this set was a blue screen set with the temperature in the perms was about 150 degrees. You were in full costume, he was in full costume. And they did one take, which is just them riffing on the sound for 8 minutes. And it broke the camera. The camera actually was on a crane hanging over the edge of the table. And I think just packed up basically.
I could peripherally see
me just doing
crew members. No, you see, like, James was laughing. I peripherally saw like crew members just kind of walking off to lunch. They were just kind of watching for a while and then just went, all right.
But the great thing about that is
But
some of
it
it's in
was-
it. Some of it still we use it because it's such good energy.
It was hilarious. So I would say my favorite moment in any film, is when the bottom drops out, is when there's confusion, is when there's the opportunity for chance, which is far more interesting and far more honest than just learning your lines and applying things to make them work. But when you throw something at someone that they're not expecting, and then what you receive back, like for example that 45-minute improvisation with Sasha, interesting things come out that weren't necessarily expected, and as James said, you end up using them because they
have an energy of their own. Really do.
They do,
Yeah.
because it's really happening in the moment, and that's sort of what's most important.
Cool. Here's a good one. This is from Samantha E. Martinez. Johnny, what books are you reading right now? Not right now, obviously, but I mean generally in the this evening. At your bedside table tonight when you go home. What's on your bedside? Or should maybe not say what's on your bedside table, but what book is on your bedside table?
The books on the bedside table. Let's see. I don't go anywhere without a book by James Joyce called Finnegan's Wake,
Of course.
which is I challenge any scholar to prove to me that they actually read the entire book and got through it.
Explain it to you.
Without some sort of cliff notes.
Yeah.
Because the book starts in the middle of a sentence and it ends in the beginning of that sentence. So it's a fascinating language that James Joyce shows, and I'm constantly fascinated by it. What I've got on my bedside table, like right now, Bruce Robinson wrote a book called "They All Love Jack."
About the Ripper.
About the Ripper.
Of course,
it's a book that Bruce was he worked on for 12 years, and
is it a case of proving who he was?
he's got him.
Really?
He's got him.
He should tell someone.
He's got him. The book, you know, I don't think the book is as people don't seem to be as interested in the case in the United States. In England,
oh, it's huge in England.
You know,
Where I used to live in England was literally the area where that all happened in Spitalfields.
yeah,
I got married in a church in From Hell, in that big Spitalfields church.
the more.
It's called
It's right across
Hawksmoor, exactly.
Hawksmoor,
Yeah,
right
it's
across from the
Christchurch Spitalfields.
the 10 Bells.
Yeah, and it has that old water trough out front, which actually is in the movie.
Yeah.
So yes, anyway, good
Amazing.
Jack Ripper knowledge there. But yeah. So wait, who is it? Who is Jack Ripper? Does he tell you? Well, have you got to the end yet? You can't say.
You gotta read.
Sorry, read Bruce's book. I'll tell you all about
buy
it.
the book, read the book.
Because he found out. It's a bit late. It's 150 years too late, but you know it's good to find out eventually.
But I'm telling you now. I'm telling you. I mean, I've read every Jack the book.
Yeah, for sure.
Book there is.
There was that Patricia Cornwall one about it being out. Sickert, the painter.
Sickert, which I thought that was a fascinating.
Yeah, interesting idea. So, do you know who Bruce's guy generally is? Is he someone already suspected, or is he a completely new guy?
Completely new guy.
Wow.
And not unknown.
Ah.
Not unknown.
Interesting. So there you go.
I hope that's
Sounds
intriguing enough for you. Those are the sort of things I'm reading right now.
Okay. Here's a question from Valerie Luong. Johnny, what is your favourite song? P.S. I'm proud to be a fan of yours. I hope one day I can meet you. This is from Valerie.
Valerie, I hope so too. That's very kind of you.
Favourite song? That's a hard one.
Favorite song? I can tell you my favorite song of all time there's a song by Charles Trenet called La Mer, which means the sea, and Bobby Darin did a sort of
classic cover,
an American, sort of English-speaking cover of the song called Beyond the Sea, and that song for me is I don't know. For some reason, even as a child, it hit me hard. And it stayed.
You're a very romantic child, must have been that song to be your favourite song as a child.
Yeah.
Always a romantic.
I think I wanted to get to see.
Exactly. Listen, maybe I'll have a go after one of these. Why don't you ask me a question? From the magic hat.
I'm reaching
The
in.
real hat is the actual hat of the hat. That's you, other side. Oh, no, hang on.
No.
Try one for me.
James,
Yes.
how many moves in chess does it take Alice to win? This is from Ken.
That is a very good question.
By the
And
way,
that
Ken,
means
why
you've read the
didn't you-
book.
Why didn't you give your last name?
Ken the Chess Grandmaster, maybe? It's
Yeah.
complicated because the book, in the front of the book, Looking Glass, there is a tabulation of a chess match, and it says Alice to Queen in 11 moves, which is interesting because in the book itself there are 8 chapters by which Alice becomes the Queen at the end of the 8th move. So the question has 2 answers, 11 and 8, I believe, but obviously I defer to you, Ken, because clearly you know a lot about chess, and you know a lot about the book if you understand. That question is incredibly complicated. Thank you, Ken. Maybe an easy one this time. Easy one?
I'm really glad I didn't get it.
It's so hard, a hard question. Luckily, yes.
James,
Yes.
were you excited to direct the
Very
sequel?
excited.
What was your reaction when you were told there would be another movie? Aaron Weaver is asking this.
Hi, Aaron. I was incredibly excited because obviously, as you can tell probably from my voice, I'm not from these parts. I'm British, and so in England, this book is in your grandparents' house, in your parents' house. I have it in my house. My kids read it. We all read it. You know it like off by heart. And so the idea of getting to tell this story and work with Johnny and Helena and Sasha and create this world which is kind of Carolian but not exactly the same as the book was an unbelievable challenge and exciting challenge to me because I love the world so much and love it so dearly. And I wanted to kind of take the best of all the worlds, the grammar of the book and the feel of the book and the language of the book plus the performance of Johnny and Helena and Sasha and those guys and make it into a kind of unique adventure with a touch of comedy about it too, of course, which is another part of it. So no, I was super psyched. Obviously it's an honour. It's like being given the crown jewels to look after, so I'm very aware of the responsibility.
But what an amazing challenge just to continue on there, Aaron. An amazing challenge for you because through the Looking Glass is a far more complicated
Yeah.
book, and it's also a far more meaning it's a far more complicated book to translate into
Yeah.
cinema because you have to make
Exactly.
bold choices.
Yeah, and for me it was really a question of the narrative of the book is fairly, it's a little loose. I mean, it hasn't really, the story is quite meandering, and it basically hasn't got a cause and effect situation going on. It's basically the story of Alice becoming a queen through time. So things kind of fold into each other. There's no kind of narrative drivers. It's a bit, but not so much. So I was quite keen to create a new narrative which would pay respects to Carol, but not be exactly the same as the book.
Yeah.
That was kind of the idea.
Yeah, no, and perfect. This is to you.
Yep. Go on.
How is it working with Tim and Johnny? That's from Dustin Gaylor. Thank you, Dustin. Because I'd really like to know.
People say don't work with your heroes, but I'm not sure that's strictly true. I mean, listen, I've watched Johnny's movies. Ed Wood is one of my favourite films of all time, and so I would be delighted to hang out with Ed Wood very much. And it was an amazing experience because Johnny knows the character so well and has such a clear idea about how to take this guy on this journey. And of course, Tim, in terms of the visuals you created for the first movie, it was an honour to be allowed to play in his sandpit. You know what I mean? Like, it's his world. But I love the idea of kind of bringing bits of my own comedy past into that world because I felt that Lewis Carroll, in a way, has a great satirical comedy sense about him, and I was keen to bring some of that to this film. So I try and my comedy background played into that part of it, I think. So hopefully it's a very complementary world of Johnny's stuff and Tim's stuff and my stuff all kind of blended together, I guess. But amazing. And even if he wasn't here, I'd be saying that anyway. I'd say it anyway.
He hated it. No, it was a gas from the beginning to end. Now here's another one. What did you find more difficult to direct for the first time? Animation or puppetry? This is from Jamie Thurick.
Good question, Jamie. This is basically referring to Muppets. Obviously, Muppets is the film I did before this. They're two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. Puppetry is incredibly demanding in-camera work. So it's on the stage. The performance is all about capturing it at the time. Animation is a thing you can adjust accordingly later on. They're very different disciplines, but the ideas behind it are very similar. Like, you have an idea and you tell the puppeteer how you want the character to feel at the time, and it's the same with animation. So that the point of origin of ideas is the same. It's just the technical part of how you then make that idea happen is different. But I love a challenge. Why I like this movie and I was keen to this movie is because it's so different to the puppetry of the Muppets. Muppets was very in camera. This is very much animation and computer graphics and live action. And in this film, you can see people's legs. In Muppets, you can't even see legs. It's too hard. Legs are very difficult.
Yeah, no.
Legs. This film has legs. That's what's exciting about it. It's a lot of legs. Let me one more for you. Come on.
Legs are forbidden. I'm going to ask. I'm going to. Well, I'm blank. I'm going to ask here.
Here you go.
Wait.
I'll do one more for you. Here you go.
Okay.
Johnny, do you ever dream about the characters you play? And thank you for doing this. From Tammy L. Hansing. Thanks, Tammy.
Do I?
Sorry, yes. Do you ever dream about the characters you play?
I do, and far too much.
Is it a multitude of yous, or are you the character yourself?
I don't meet them. No.
Yeah, no, it's still you. Right.
Yeah. I am the character.
Right.
I've had dreams about the majority of them, and weirdly, I've had things pop up in dreams that I have applied.
That's cool.
To the character.
It's your subconscious telling you what to do.
Yeah. You know,
good.
these kind of you find yourself in these interesting situations as the character. And it's been several characters. So yeah, you do find yourself in a position where you take that gut instinct and you take that sort of gift from the dream and
is it
chuck it in.
Is it when you're actually playing those characters like shooting, or is it like years after they come back to you? How does that work? Or doesn't matter?
No, it's generally when I'm
in it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's like when you're going to France, you speak French a lot, you dream in French. It's that kind of thing.
Exactly. Man, I lived there 10 years and I was absolutely dreaming in French.
Yeah. That's when you're good at French. When you dream in French, you're good at French.
Yeah. That means you've watched a lot of French
Lots of French TV. Yeah.
Here's one for James. What would you say to someone who wants to be a director? From Valeria Luongo.
That's an excellent question. These days this thing is being shot right now on a phone, and when I was a kid, it was not possible. Phones were attached to a wall, and you spoke to people with your voice on them. But these days you can shoot stuff, and so really, my kids who are in their 8, 6, and 3, my daughter and my son just film each other all the time, and that is kind of what filmmaking is. It's storytelling in a very basic level. And as soon as you start writing stuff down, then also in your head you're seeing it at the same time, and so I think directors can start at any age these days. It's amazing. And,
it's just like the same thing. Like anybody with a telephone, or these iPhone things or whatever, anyone with a phone is now considered a potential paparazzi.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got that. But
I don't have that problem.
But anyone,
I know you do.
it may come.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone with a phone. I mean, with technology the way it is, people make film on iPhones, and I'm all for it, because you will find a totally different perspective, right. A totally different way of shooting, which is at times mostly sort of guerrilla-esque.
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of, in a way, it's sort of like it's like you back doing Ali G.
Right. Yeah.
It's about capturing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really about
keep shooting. That's
capturing.
Great. Yeah.
And he was big on, yes, the story. Pay attention to the story and the mathematics and the histrionics and the whatever exposition must be dealt with, but in a way that is free. So
yeah.
you can play, and James just likes to sort of capture.
That's right. One thing I would say is that if you want to, one of the great disciplines of directing is telling stories without words, using images only. So if you have a phone, it'd be, as a kid, it's such a fun idea to try and tell a story without actually using any dialogue or any narrative or any pages or anything. Just try and shoot a story just using images alone. And that's a good way of starting out in thinking about how directing works, because it's about storytelling using images as well as exposing it. So just a thought.
But it's like, it's sort of like the idea of shooting a silent film today. If you and I did a silent film today, what would the most important thing be with regards to that movie?
Exactly.
Sound.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Sound.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Soundtrack, or the sort of the click clack of walking down a sidewalk, and that sound. It sort of becomes
That's good. One last one here. This is from Johnny. Johnny, do you have a personal wonderland? If so, is it a real place, or is it just in your mind? Much love from Italy, from Alessia Human.
Alessia Human.
Yeah, I guess.
Alessia, my
personal wonderland.
My brain, I can say with 1,000% is not a wonderland. It is a circus that is constant, and I don't know that it's healthy. But I do know that if I don't keep it occupied by being in the trenches with someone like James or Tim, or that you love, and you're collaborating on something, that to me is a kind of wonderland. In terms of a wonderland where you can escape and actually experience anonymity, I have a place that I get to go to in the Bahamas that is, it's the only place that guarantees me total anonymity and freedom.
That sounds pretty good, like Wonderland to me. In fact, that is the next question. One more. This is: would you like to live in Wonderland?
No. I think it might be
weird.
I think it might be limited on the things you might need.
True.
It'd be pretty difficult.
I wouldn't like to get ill there, because medicine would be very not very advanced, so that would be tricky.
Yeah.
If you're healthy, it'd be cool to live in Wonderland.
Yeah.
But I think the moment you got something like your leg or something to put off, and that would be bad. So really, medicine aside, yes, and Johnny, no.
Yeah. No.
Interested.
No. I've got plenty of circus in my head.
All right, here we go. One more. Here we go. Last one. Here's a question from Tara Johanna. Johnny, is it hot under that hair and big hat?
Well, you can't imagine. I think I lost 20 pounds of water weight just from my head. I went pinhead for a while. No, it's yeah, no, it's you know, it's kind of, you know, yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
It's very hard.
Especially on the first film, you know, because we did change the hair for the second film. For this film, my hair on the first film was actually made of yak hair.
Built to withstand extreme cold. Hence,
indeed.
incredibly warm.
I never expected in my life that I would end up wearing yak hair. It wasn't a dream of mine, but it was yeah, it's quite an experience. It yeah, weighed a lot, and then the hat and all that. But yeah, no, it gets super hot because Colleen Atwood, who I've worked with about 300 times, she likes to cover me up in as much sort of
silk and taffeta.
She wants it as tight as possible, and she wants it. She doesn't care if it's hot.
No, she doesn't have to wear it. That's the thing. You see, she just designs it. It looks beautiful, but they actually wear it.
Yeah.
And when Sasha had his costumes, this enormous cloak that he wears.
Yeah.
And he doesn't wear it very often. He only wears it in the first few scenes because he got so hot in it. He said, I can't wear this anymore, it's too hot.
I don't know.
I said, well, luckily for you, when you travel, you have a travel coat, much smaller the travel coats. That was good. Okay, here we go. This is another question. This is slightly off topic, but if you were, this is from Eileen Lopez. If you were a sandwich, what kind would you be?
Easy.
That's an excellent question.
Easy.
Go on.
Was that Eileen? Was it?
Eileen, yeah.
Eileen Lopez. Eileen, I was born and raised in Kentucky for the first 8 or 9 years of my life, and then moved to South Florida. Well, my family, being kind of on the hillbilly side, I'd be a bologna sandwich.
I don't know what that is. What is bologna?
No one knows what
Right,
it is.
it's just mystery, something
I think bologna is just
cooked and then spread.
I think it's just everything that they can't use
Roadkill.
in any, yeah.
Basically.
So yeah, I'd be a bologna sandwich. It'd be a white trash sandwich, you know, Wonder Bread and you know,
Well,
a piece of bologna.
yeah, similarly, I guess.
It's basically the stuff they give you in jail.
Very fine. I guess I would be, at least I like this sandwich, it's a cheese and pickle sandwich. And again, I should probably explain what this is. It's basically part of a ploughman's lunch, which is a very English thing.
Branston pickle.
Yeah, we all know what ploughmans eat, right? Yeah, Branston pickle,
Oh, yeah.
which is a kind of like vegetable thing in a vinegary sauce with cheddar cheese and then a huge slab of bread either end of it. You recognise it from any time you've been to an English pub.
It is pure.
Of varying quality, I have to say, varying quality in England, but
Yes.
the principle of it is excellent. Very simple sandwich, very sturdy, gets you the day.
I love that it's called a ploughman.
The ploughman's, yeah, well, that's what ploughman would have worn in his knapsack on the way to work in the 18th century.
Yeah.
Would be this and a pickled egg or something like that.
Yeah.
Delicious. Any English food.
And some kind of booze because they
Yeah, of course, cider, of course, because you know.
because they couldn't drink water.
No, it is.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And life is hard, so that helps. So I hear. Good stuff. Anyway, that's probably all we have time for today, I'm afraid. But I want to thank you very much for answering this question so brilliantly. Thank you
Oh
very much for that.
man, thanks for having me. Thank you guys for the question.
Yeah, look out for the film Alice the Looking Glass, May 27th. We're super excited to share it with everybody and hope you like it. Thank you very much.
If you don't watch it, I will be outside your house in a tree and I will scare you. Go see the movie, please.